Today, the focus of our video is kale, and joining me is...
Hi, I'm Kaylee Baker, and I'm a nutrition and dietetics student at Utah State University.
Great, let's get going. When you hear the word kale, you might cringe because you've probably heard it called a superfood quite often. We know that kale, it's very tough, it can be kind of bitter, but it is also a nice vegetable and it's pretty nutritious. Can you tell us why it's a nutritious choice?
Yeah, you're right. I have heard that kale is kind of deemed a superfood, but in reality the term superfood is actually just a marketing ploy. We want to focus on getting a healthy and nutritious diet, and kale is a great addition to a healthy diet. Kale contains a variety of beneficial nutrients, including vitamin C, vitamin A, calcium, and potassium. It also is an excellent source of vitamin K and fiber.
Kaylee, is there a better time to buy kale at the store?
Yes, there is. Kale is in season from July until November. One thing to consider is that the more processed the kale is, the more expensive it might be. For example, depending where you live, a bunch of kale is usually about $1.50 to $2, but if you buy it pre-chopped, then it can be from $5 to $6.
Oh wow. Luckily, kale is pretty easy to clean and prep. When we're at the store though, how do we know which kale we should buy?
Yeah, so when picking kale, you want to focus on looking for the darkest colored leaves. Kind of dark colored like this is the best. There's different varieties of kale. They can be green or purple, but either way, you want the dark color. You also want it to be firm and not limp. Great.
So we've got some washed kale leaves right here. These ones have not been washed yet, and as you'll see, dirt can really get into the crevices of these kale leaves. They're really curly and just curl in on themselves, so when you are cleaning these kale leaves, you want to move the leaves around so you're getting into every crevice and getting any of that dirt out of the kale, because no one wants a dirt surprise in their kale. Once you've prepped and cleaned these kale leaves, you want to remove them from the stem, because as you notice, the stem is really tough, and again, no one wants to eat that tough part of the kale. So what we want to do is remove the leaves from the stem, and you can do this by cutting it off the stem, but an even easier way is just ripping the kale off of the stem and putting it into your bowl. And as you do that, you can just make sure to avoid that thick stem. As you get further down the leaf, the stem gets thinner. And so once you hit that thinner piece, you can actually use the rest of that leaf. But again, any part of the stem that is tough, you just want to avoid that. Also, as you're ripping the leaves off the kale, the size of the leaves depends on how you want to use them. If you're putting them into a soup or a cooked dish, you might want them a little bit bigger because they are gonna wilt. If you're making a salad, you could rip them into smaller pieces like this, or you could leave the pieces large and then chop the kale that you've taken off the stem into smaller pieces in preparation for the salad.
There are lots of different ways you can use kale besides just eating it raw. But if you do want to eat it raw, maybe in something like a salad, you can massage the leaves with oil and lemon juice to make them more tender. So I'm going to show you how to do that. We have our kale in a bowl, and then you're going to start by adding about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We don't want to add too much at first because you can always add more as you go. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of lemon juice, and then just a pinch of salt. You can add as much as you'd like. And then we'll just massage the leaves. This is gonna make them tender. This usually takes about 2 to 3 minutes.
It looks like the color of the kale leaves are turning more green.
Yes, it is. It is beginning to change the texture and darken the color.
If you have kids at home and you want to have them help you in the kitchen, this is a great way to get them involved.
After massaging the kale for a little bit, you'll notice a change in the color. It's darker now and the texture is different.
So once you have your kale ready to go, you can throw it into a salad and eat it raw. You can also use kale in a cooked dish, and you don't have to massage it ahead of time. If you're using it in a cooked dish, you want to add the kale into the dish when there's about 3 to 5 minutes left. That's about how long it takes for kale to wilt in a dish. Things I like to add kale into are curries or soups. So Kaylee, should we try out this massaged kale?
Yes, let's try it.
I can tell a difference.
It's
Can you?
really good, me
Yeah.
too.
I definitely recommend using raw kale and massaging it first.